Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Beyond the Beard, the podcast about all things gaming. Beyond the Beard is generously hosted by Falcoon and the Matabase. To find the Matabase, go to twitch.tv/the Matabase. To find Falcoon, whisper Falcoon into the speaker of your 56K modem. Music for Beyond the Beard is provided by Dracaris Bonehelm. And here's the part of the show where we're going to review a game. Recently, Greygost and I played a bit of Marvel Dice Masters. And I guess we're going to start by talking about components.
All right.
So, grab a couple cards if you want. The dice themselves are nice. They're, small dice, which I actually prefer.
Yes,
definitely. Just because they're easier to store. Though we did notice one die, at least in the starter set, that had a missing number on it.
Yeah, wasn't that the cost?
Yeah, it was the fielding cost.
Fielding cost
for what's his name? The fire guy.
Human Torch.
Human Torch. Yeah. It just wasn't on there. Wasn't a huge deal because it says it on the card, but also kind of annoying.
Yeah.
The cards themselves are nice. I actually really like the shine on them. It's not overly glossy, so it's very easy to read. And they're decent. I mean, not the thickest cards in the world, but I mean, because you're not shuffling or playing with them specifically, I think they're going to hold up really well. I want to talk about the art on the back of the cards real quick.
Yes.
For those who haven't seen it, there'll be a picture on the Instagram account. It just says, it's just this like blue and white field that just says Dice Masters. That's it. It's so uninspired.
The only thing I would suggest that maybe is if they bother to involve any other Dice Masters games that implies a kind of uniform system. Like,
okay, I can
if
see
DC
that.
came out, maybe DC could verse Marvel, and they would all look the same.
Yeah, I could see that. It's just, you don't use the back, so it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, it's still a pretty awful back.
It really is. And it was very off-putting when I first opened up the box. Other than that, I'm a little disappointed that every copy of the hero uses the same picture. I mean, the art's really good.
Especially since the sub-names for the cards seem fairly thematic. It seems like the picture would make sense to match that sub-name.
Right. I bet they did it just so they wouldn't have to make a picture specifically for Magneto, Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, that might be an uncomfortable card.
Yeah, but other than that, the art is really good. I really, really enjoy the art. It's action-packed. It's got that comic book feel. But it would have been cool to see. I mean, it's a cost thing. WizKids cuts a lot of cost.
Yeah, it's true.
It would have been nice to see, the 3 different hero cards of the same hero have 3 different pictures. But other than that, component-wise, I'd give it a good. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, it is. It does what it needs to.
Yeah. Okay, so down to the actual playing of the game. Why don't you start off with that? What do you think?
It's I'd have to say that to not base the play on the starting setup it gives you. But once you can pick, it is a lot of fun. It's fast, it's pretty smooth, and I have to say it does a very good job of being thematic.
Right.
It feels, I think the card abilities for the most part match the heroes you're playing. Yeah.
Let me pull out the Captain America cards because I found those especially cool. But you can keep talking.
There's a thing that are global powers. They are an ability that either player can use. Those I'm a little mixed about, but I think they're fundamentally necessary because they, if it were just heroes, you might find yourself a little dull. It might be a little dull to play. It's a bit predictable. What every hero does. I think the global things are necessary to spice up combat specifically.
Right. But okay, so about the thematic thing, like Captain America, the base set comes with 3 different Captain Americas, and every single one of them, like the American hero, when fielded, you may roll a sidekick die from your used pile. Star Spangled Avenger, when fielded, knock out one of your opponent's sidekick characters, gain 1 life for each sidekick knocked out. Natural Leader, while Captain America is active, your sidekick characters get +1 attack, +1 defense. So, like, all of his are boosting.
Captain America is very much a leader, so all of those sidekick things really make sense.
So, yeah, there's some really cool stuff with that. And I know, like the Hulk, all of his abilities were, when you or the Hulk get damaged, do this thing.
Yeah.
It was it was very thematic in that way. I kind of agree with you on the basic action cards. They were weird. Like, I understand where they're necessary, but yeah, it was like, there's something to be said about, this is what I brought, and boom. It's kind of the same way I feel about the global actions on heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it's a balancing thing, where like, let's see, for example,
Like
this
Phoenix.
isn't in the base game, but Magneto, Holocaust Survivor. While Magneto's active, you may pay 2 energy to spin a villain up 1 level. It's a really powerful ability, but it gives the global pay a mask to re-roll a villain die. So that makes it so, people have a counter to that really powerful ability. So I understand where it is as a balancing thing. It just feels a little weird.
It's sort of driven in that instance with the fact that it says villain. So if you were to be someone who preferred villain and weren't versing villain people, obviously then it cuts off a little bit. But yeah, they're
or like Phoenix. The
Right.
global ability on that lets you just boom deal 2 damage to anyone.
that was a lightning.
Yeah. And that's like, and Phoenix's ability is super freaking strong. I think it's like +2/+2
When engaged, yeah.
when engaged. Yeah, so that gives people, they pay 3 lightning, they can kill her while she's not engaged.
That's true.
So it kind of counters themselves in a way. So it's a cool balancing thing. It's just thematically weird.
Yeah.
But okay, so one other thing I wanted to say component wise, and we're kind of reviewing mainly the base game. In our play, we didn't use any expansion cards. It was purely base game. But I picked up a couple of the booster packs, and the booster packs, a couple things about them that were kind of like, ugh. The way the booster packs work is they're a foil pack, kind of like Magic cards, and they come with 2 cards and 2 dice. And the cards are guaranteed to, like, associate with the dice. You're not going to get, like, Miss Marvel and the Hulk and a Captain America and Spider-Man die, because that'd be so dickish.
Yeah, it would.
But the issues I have with it, first off, they're a foil pack with 2 dice and 2 cards in it. They get kind of bent up. Like, you saw the ones. They're not.
Yeah.
That was after me taking
They
a while.
aren't they aren't unplayable, but it is a little.
Yeah, like it's something about like, here's my brand new card that is curled. Putting them under a stack of heavy books for a couple days, they're going to be fine. It's just a weird little thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing, and we talked about this last night, was I kind of wish the booster packs had 2 different of the same hero and 2 of the dice.
Yes.
Because so I bought 4 booster packs. I got 8 different characters. 7 different characters and an action, but so 8 different types of dice. I can now, if I field one of those, I only get 1 die for it. And it's a little.
It's the number of dice certainly plays into the game, and it would be certainly a lot nicer to start developing a legitimate pool for a character without having to buy like 20 boosters to pull it off.
Right. And I feel like the primary reason they did it that way was so you'd buy more boosters.
Yeah, which isn't too bad. They're $1 a piece.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. At $1 a piece, it's hard to complain, but it's just one thing I noticed. One small, like, yeah.
Yeah, no, certainly.
Okay, so, all in all, like, on the play of the game, the training game, I'd say it's, like, if you're not comfortable with card games, I think is a good way to put it, or you're just not getting the dice mechanic, I think the training game is a good way to go through it.
Yeah, if you can read a rule book and figure out for the most part how it's played without having to play it once through, because it is a very simple game.
Right.
It probably would feel better to. You might be able to limit to 2, but at least maybe pick your heroes.
Right. Yeah.
Might be a
I
good
would agree
idea.
with that.
Yeah.
I read through the rulebook. I don't think you did. The rulebook is actually really well written, and it's full. Like, it has a full example combat, step by step, to explain it. I was really impressed with the rulebook. Beyond that, the teams they pit against each other are kind of unbalanced. Like, not just in that limitation. Like, I played the one that was Spider-Man and the Human Torch, and both of their abilities are very combat focused. The Human Torch gets bonus on the turn where you field someone, so he hits hard, and Spider-Man can get like 4 extra defense by spending energy when he attacks. And then your team was
Captain America and Beast, and their focus is really on the dice. Beast tends to get you a fairly good roll. You're going to end up with more than the 4 starting, and Captain America just has a lot of little neat add-ons and perks to things. But when those two are versing each other, it makes the game feel almost too random.
Right.
Like, I only gain strength from dice. He's necessarily going to outmuscle me, so you don't really get to see the game evened out like that.
Right, and those abilities get a lot better when there's more dice to buy, because you quickly ran out of character dice to buy.
Yeah.
And we got close to running out of basic actions, so your abilities stopped being as useful, where mine were still good.
Yes, definitely.
So I feel like the training game, it is a training. It does teach you the rules. It does a good job of that, but if you're comfortable with the rules, you might want to skip it.
Yeah, definitely.
But then we played like a draft style game where we took turns picking cards. We played a 3-on-3, and that was really fun.
Yeah, that was infinitely better.
Yeah. You wrecked me by stealing my Hulk and killing me with him.
With Thor.
Yeah.
One of Thor's is an ability to, when he is fielded, he takes all the opponent's heroes based off of the fist power, and for that turn, controls them.
Yeah, and he just wrecked me with my own 8/8 Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
The level 3 strongest Hulk.
And Thor himself is pretty strong, so them two alone was 14 damage.
Yeah, and I'd already taken 10 of my 20 life. So the game, like all in all, incredibly fun. I like how fast it is.
Yes, definitely.
And we could sit down in like an hour and play probably 8 to 10 games.
Definitely, yeah.
And I would be willing to do that. I'd be willing to spend an hour playing 8 to 10 games of this, because it's very fun. I mean, especially you switch out cards. Just out of the base box without boosters, I think you can have a great time.
Oh, definitely.
And each base box gives you 2 dice for each character it comes with, and 3 versions of each hero it comes with. And there's, I have to count these real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Comes with 8 characters, 3 cards for each of those characters, a bunch of basic actions, and all that. I might pick up a second base box, because each of those characters allows up to 4 dice.
That's true.
So just with a second base box, we'd get, no new options, but we could have bigger fights, which would be pretty cool.
It's what, 15 for the starter?
15 for the starter, and then expansions are $1 a piece.
Yeah.
So let's talk about price value then. I personally think base box only, $15 if you can find it, because it's still fairly scant on the market.
Yeah.
I think it's a great value. I think I'll get well more than $15 worth of play out of this. I mean, I've had games I've paid $30 for, $40 for, and gotten less, that I know I'll get a lot less play out of.
Oh no, definitely. This is a kind of game that is so simple to, like when we did the draft. I mean, there are games that take forever to set up. This was just as quick as each of us taking turns. Bam, the board set up,
right,
and we're on our way. And it's. I mean, you have it in a container, a fairly nice container. I mean, it's easy to transport with a decent container.
Right.
And you can just, I mean, we could plop it out almost anywhere with a surface and just play a couple games.
Exactly. A couple minor gripes. Well, first off, let's talk about the container. The box it comes with, you could theoretically leave it in there. It doesn't do that attack wing thing where there's a giant hole in the box.
Yeah.
It has a windowed screen that's eventually going to break out. But I went to Walmart, and I went to their craft section, and this is actually the box I have. I'll try to put a picture up on the Instagram. Is what was this for? I think it's a thread box, and it holds everything really nicely. It cost me like $6.
Yeah.
So, and then I have a $2 deck box, Ultra Pro deck box that I keep the cards and the dice bags in. But a couple small gripes. The dice bags are terrible.
Yes.
They're like sick bags from an airplane, basically. But I can understand that price point. And the nice thing is they do fit in the deck box.
Yes, they do fold up nicely, yeah.
So like if you don't want to carry anything else with you, boom, it's easy. I could probably fit the whole game in that deck box, honestly.
And I mean, and the bags are awful, but they do what they need to do.
Exactly.
You can put dice in there. You're not going to tear the bag in half using it or anything.
Right. It is like a, what is that? It's like a laminated paper bag, basically.
Yeah.
My other main complaint is the playmat. I don't know. I didn't show it to you, but there's a colored small version of that playmat in the book, but there's only one. It would have been nice if there had been 2 of those, so that if you didn't want to print something out, you could just pop the pages out and use them. But I just went on Board Game Geek, and there's tons of dice mats on there. Some that are full color, gorgeous themed mats. A lot of them are sized to print on mouse pads.
Okay.
So you can just go to any order, print on demand. There we go. a place and print them on a mouse pad, which would be really sweet.
Yeah, that would.
I just printed out a couple of the low ink paper ones that were black and white, and they worked great. And the paper will easily fit in the box for my dice. But I mean, minor gripes, nothing I would hold against the game, because I mean, price point. But I wish they'd put a second mat in the instruction booklet so you could pull both out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good to, because you don't need the dice mats, but it's a lot more clear what's going on with them.
Yes.
So the dice mats are the same as the ones I printed out, just colored versions and smaller. You can see the size of that there. It's just that folded out.
Okay.
But yeah, all in all, I'm really happy with the game. I think it's great for its price point. The boosters at $1, I mean, it's a great price, but I feel like you're going to need several of them to get much play out of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I wouldn't want to field something that only has one die.
No, yeah.
I mean, I felt kind of limited with just 2 dice. But I mean, now having something that had, if we could get 2 of the same dice in a booster, that would be all. I'd be willing to pay $1 for 1 card and 2 dice. I'd prefer that over 2 different cards and 2 different dice.
That seems more constructive. I mean, you're losing a card, but what you're getting in the booster is already more useful.
Right. But that's something that's probably not going to change.
Yeah.
But we can dream. So other than that, I guess final ratings on this. Out of 10, 0 being I hate it, I will never play it. 10 being, let's say, I will own a copy and I would play it as much as I could. I'd probably go with like 7.5.
That's pretty much right where I'm at. Yeah.
Okay.
It's if you're really into the theme, that might shove it one way or another.
Right.
Marvel.
I'm a bit more Marvel than you are. I think if there's a DC one, it would probably bump.
Yeah, you might see 8 or 9 if it was DC from me. But yeah, it's a well-rounded game. It's cheap. It's incredibly fun. Yeah, it does everything right for just a really nice pickup game.
Right. The reason mine isn't higher is I'm just not hugely into games that I have to build something outside of the game. So for me, this is going to be a drafting game.
Yes, definitely. I like that element the most.
Yeah, it's not going to be everyone comes with their deck or their heroes preset. It's going to be a drafting game.
Actually, speaking on that, the idea of building, the game really, everything is really potent in the game. A lot of abilities are really crazy. The storm, just re-rolling. In the state the game's in now, I feel like the draft form of playing is really just the best, soundest way to play. The game may release more and more expansion packs, and you might find it seems more reasonable to pre-build a deck. But I would even argue that in this state, pre-building just doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
The abilities cards have are so potent that you might just end up with very stagnant games with 2 teams that are just really nuts.
Right.
So the draft really does a really smooth job of just balancing out the match.
I'm going to change my rating. I'm going to go split rating. If you were bringing your own, like everyone comes to it with their own, I'd go 7.5. As a drafting game, I'll go 8.5.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, that's there we go. First rating of the podcast, and I'm giving a split rating. Yeah. But yeah, 7.5 as a build it, then bring it. 8.5 for me as a drafting.
Definitely.
Because I feel like the drafting element of itself would be really fun. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to do a blind draft, have each person put out X number of cards, split it in half. I look in my hand, draw one, hand it to you. That'd be kind of cool. We should try that at some point.
And it is fun to play to your card strengths as well. They are so potent that if you were to draw a lot of combat-focused things, well, the opponent gets a different kind of theme.
Right.
There's a lot of elements of... it seems like a very simple game at the surface, like you're just going to keep rolling dice and just see how it plays out in your favor, but there's a lot of room for playing to your cards and playing to what happens to be the... What are those? The middle ones?
Basic actions.
The basic actions. You can kind of like give a look over of everything and really play to a particular focus. There's a lot of... it's much more strategic than it may seem at first.
Right. Yeah, like, I noticed with my group of 3, each one of them was a different type of energy, which kind of hurt me, where you had 2 of them that were the lightning bolt,
yes.
Which I believe is like the blast energy.
Storm and Human Torch.
So those kind of built on each other. Once you got one of them in the bag, even when you rolled their double energy side, it made it a lot easier to get those others.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of synergy, which is pretty cool. But I think we're going to wrap this up. It was a 7.5 from you and a 7.5/8.5 from me.
Yep.
Good game. I highly recommend it.
Definitely.
Okay, moving on. Beyond the Beard is sponsored by listeners like you and shameless self-indulgence. If you're going to self-indulge, why not make it shameless? And now on to Kickstarter. Going through a couple things that I've recently supported. This one's over, sadly, is the Indie Boards and Cards. Indie Boards and Cards. There we go. An expansion for Flashpoint. What did they end up calling it? Duty and Honor, I think? Because it was originally called Call of Duty, then they got a cease and desist letter. I'm being dead serious on that. But the Kickstarter had a completely second... There's 2 extra boards. Well, 2 extra maps. It was a double-sided board.
Mm-hmm.
And an extra firefighter. And we play Flashpoint a fair bit, so I'm super excited for that.
I as well.
Another Indie Boards and Cards. This one's ending in 60 hours as of time of recording, so it'll be over by the time this thing launches. Is The Resistance, Hostile Intent, and Hidden Agenda. So it's 2 expansions for The Resistance, which you haven't played with me yet.
No.
The game is super fun. Social deduction game. It added some cool stuff. It's one of those things that I want just because it's, I want to support them. I'm not sure if I'll ever use them because I really like the base game of Resistance. Other ones, Asking for Tribbles. That game, this still has 26 days to go at time of recording. So definitely time to get on that. I am supporting that one. I showed you that one, right?
Yes.
What do you think of it? It's a worker placement game that has some really interesting... I love worker placement.
Yes.
It has some really interesting mechanics like bumping. So if someone's in the place you want to be, you can take that spot. It just gives them back their piece to replace.
In a weird way, this kind of actually has a feel... this just dawned on me is of the Marvel dice, the bumping people to KO and then being inserted in a roll. It's the same kind of mechanism where the idea of beating someone in a spot, knocking them out, ends up leading to some sort of payment later.
Yeah, it really does. Because the other really interesting mechanic, and it plays off of this, is unlike most worker placement games where you take turns putting pieces out. Once everyone's pieces are out, you all take them back. In this, at any time, you can spend a full turn to take all your pieces back.
Yeah.
So, if I have 2 ships, which you start the game with 2 ships, I can place one out, then you place one out, then I place one out. And if you bump me, I get to have another turn, because you're going to have to spend your turn getting your ships back, and I get to just, put out my ship again. So you just, by bumping me and taking the spot that I had, you're giving me half a turn back. It's a really cool mechanic. The other thing that was awesome about it was the connections.
Yes, I really like those.
Yeah, as one of your actions, you can go to the spot and you can pay money to buy a connection. And you put that on your own little player board in one of the spots you can go to. And basically, you can buy different kinds of connections. And when you go to that spot, you also get whatever your connection is. So I can go to the place where I get ore. And I get ore and I have a money connection. I also take 1 money. So you can kind of customize the board to yourself, which is really cool.
Yes, it is really. It also, it's nice to have something where you get to influence your placement. Like the ability to do these kind of connections really allows you to kind of empower the points that you think are important. If you were playing Puerto Rico or something, you can place where you want and the things you need, but you can't. You don't really have much more choice other than what it gives you. This is a really nice way of both being a worker placement game and giving you some external influence on the placement. Right.
And I like that also plays into the bumping, because you can put on more than one connection. They just become exponentially more pricey as you put them on the same spot. So, if we're playing and Greygost has, on the ore area has 4 connections, I know he's going to want to go there because he gets so much benefit out of it. I can go there knowing that he's probably going to bump me and I'm going to get my guy back. So it all plays in together. Other than that, it has a really striking art style. It's cool. It's a very cool art style. It's like this very stark orange and blue.
Very simple, but very cool looking.
Right. And it plays 2 to 5, and actually it looks like it'll play well with 2, which is odd for a worker placement. with that, you get a bonus for bumping. You get a bonus resource when you bump someone to encourage that interaction.
Okay.
And that only happens in a 2-player game. But they're currently at time of recording 18,096 of a 25,000 goal. 26 days to go. I think they're going to make it. And at $42, you get the game. At $1, you get a print and play version, so you can try it out, and you get that I believe immediately. So you could try it out, see if you like it, and then go for it. So I mean, I highly recommend checking it out. That's Asking for Tribbles. The link will be in the show notes. So a lot of gameplay videos on here, and they've got some really cool stretch goals. Like, some of them are simple. 33,000, 2 to 6 player game. 36,000, make it up to 7 player game, and they're just adding new ships. The one I'm really excited about is 40,000.
Yes.
With replace the cardboard tokens with plastic ship miniatures, and the ship miniatures are super cool looking.
They do show you in one of the videos of them playing with them, and they are very nice. They're really cool.
Yeah, so I really hope. And this is their second game Kickstarter, so I think they're actually, they have experience. I feel like it's actually going to happen. So that's cool. Another one, and you haven't seen this one yet. It's Tetrazoic. It's a fairly light card game where basically you're modeling evolution. You've got monsters on these cards, and there's like bits of monsters, and you draw cards from both the common deck and your personal deck. And it's kind of deck building ish.
Okay.
So then you're playing these monster pieces out and connecting them together, and you get point values by how many loose ends you have and stuff. And then whoever has the most can then take a certain number of cards from their monster and other people's monster and put it into their deck. And each round, you take less from the common and more from your own deck. So you're kind of building like the best monster gene pool.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
And if you don't win, you can only take pieces from your own monster. You don't get to absorb other people's. So it's really cool. It looks like a light, fun game. $20 to get it shipped. It is funded, actually. I just found out today it's funded. 3,476 of their 2,000 goal. 10 days left on that one, so this episode should be out with enough time. And then one I haven't pulled the trigger on, but I'm considering, is Hostage Negotiator. It is a solo game where you're playing as you're playing as a negotiator, and there's a full gameplay video on here, which I highly recommend watching it. There's another $20. There's a $5 print and play preview. It's a pretty small game, but it's really cool. Just, I don't know how to explain this. It looks like a really tightly designed game. Just a nice little single player experience. And it's being set up in such a way that it's going to be easy to put out expansion packs. So, here's some a different negotiator that has this bonus, or here's 2 more abductors that have this own special game rule. So it's a cool looking little game. I haven't quite pulled the trigger, but I'm getting close to it. It's got 4 days left to go. I have to decide soon.
It sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, I recommend checking that out. These are all going to be down in the show notes, and that's basically what I've been going over. Anything from you?
Nothing particular.
I honestly just haven't even looked at video games on Kickstarter in a while.
I haven't really either.
I'm getting a little, I don't know, early access at Kickstarters. I'm getting a little burnt out on it when it comes to the video game side.
I've just kind of really, I would be willing to call it passion for board games is really just kind of reignited. So I've kind of been staying off of video games and really focusing on board games recently.
Yeah, I hear you. But these are the ones I'm interested in / supporting. I mean, Hidden Agenda, Hostile Intent, that's a yes for me. Tribbles is a yes. Tetrazoic, probably.
Okay.
I'm probably going to pull the trigger on that. It's funny, actually, how I found that game. It was tweeted out by the Kingdom of Loathing guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's someone they know, like a friend of theirs. I don't believe he's put out a game before, but he's done his research. Like, he has already said, this is the exact style of paper I'm going to use from this company.
That's always nice.
Yeah, and I actually believe this game's actually going to come out, So, that's a cool thing. Yeah, so that is our Kickstarter reviews.
And now for a joke. Why did the duck put cheese on his head?
Because he thought he was a quacker.
Ha 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 ha.
And here's the part of the show where we talk about something to keep ourselves motivated. Greygost and I are in the middle of designing a board game. The working title is Don't Get Scurvy. And, so what we're going to do is, at the end of every show, we're going to give you an update on our progress. And this is partially because I think it'd be cool to see the design process from two newbie designers.
Yep.
And also because it's going to help keep us motivated.
Yes, definitely.
We're accountable to you. Every other week when this show comes out, we have to have made some progress so we don't sit here and feel like fools and like, well, we did roughly nothing.
The tiles are more square.
Yeah, we trimmed some edges, which we did 2 minutes before the show, so we had something to say. No, so that's kind of a big thing there. But, so to give a basic overview of it, we're not going to go into a huge amount of detail. It is an exploration game, so a tile-laying exploration game, pirate-themed, and the engine of the game, how you get your resources to move and stay out on the sea and fight and defend your ship, is going to be a deck-building element done in, like, a town. I'm really excited about it, and a quick story, I don't know if I've told you this, where the original idea for this game came from was purely from the title. I thought of how amusing it'd be to have a game called Don't Get Scurvy, and I started building ideas around that. And at first it was just simply an exploration game, and I realized, where it's like, okay, you have to eat oranges to move, but then I was like, wow, this is actually really boring. Because it's like, okay, I have 6 oranges. Well, let's move 3 spaces out, 3 spaces back. Boom. It didn't have that push your luck feeling, because that's a big part of what we're going with the exploration. Definitely. So, anything else you wanted to say about it?
Well, I guess as far as the startings of it, I mean, you pitched the idea, you called me up, and it honestly just kind of grabbed instantly. You pitched the idea, it was a simple idea, and before we knew it, we had things tweaked to a level. We had decided how ships would work to a degree. We had it's a really novel idea that translates that has very quickly progressed into a fairly, what I think sounds like a legit game.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Our next step, just so we can get on to the whole actual, this is what we need to do, is we need to build a prototype.
Yes.
Because we've done this before where we're like, okay, here's a game idea, and we've tweaked it and just fine-tuned it so long before we had a prototype that when we finally made a prototype, it's like, wow, this just isn't fun.
I've done that quite a few times.
Yeah. And so we've decided to go about this, getting a prototype as fast as possible so we can just put it on the table and play, and that way we can build it from the ground up, being able to test everything with actual play instead of just theory. So what we're going to do, actually, right after this we finish recording, wow, I can't talk. Right after we finish recording, we're going to be going out, picking up some pieces we need, and starting to work on a prototype. So we should have at least a base prototype of the game by the next show. So, at least a player or two in it.
Oh, and a person for the art, right? Which is a very key thing we usually fall up on.
I have a person in mind for the art. I haven't talked to him about it yet because I want to get a little bit more into it.
Yeah.
But I do have a person in mind for the art that I think will be willing, which would be really cool. He has a great style that'll fit perfectly.
It'd be nice to finally have art as well, though.
It will be, because that has always been a rather frustrating roadblock. But yeah, so I think that's kind of all to talk about on that for now. We'll get into more details as we develop the game more.
Yeah.
So I picked the game to review this time. You want to pick for the next one?
Next time I'm going to pick Twilight Struggle. It is an older game. It has been out a while, been through a couple iterations. It particularly appeals to me because there's a very historic theme to it. It's Cold War themed. I'm excited. I bought the deluxe edition of it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we just haven't gotten around to playing it.
Yeah, it's a card-driven game. It's basically a world map, and you compete over the basically the Soviet Russia, Soviet communist cause versus the freedom side of America. and I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, currently rated #1 on Board Game Geeks.
Yeah.
#1. This will be the first time I think we've ever played a #1 rated, because Agricola was #1 for the longest time, and we both avoided that
Yeah, we
game.
just did not touch it.
Yeah, you could try Caverna.
Oh.
Okay, so next episode, we will review Twilight Struggle. So that kind of forces us to get that thing on the table,
Yes,
which is cool.
it does.
I understand why you picked it. But yeah, I want to thank everyone for listening to our inaugural podcast.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, have a great one.
Everyone have a fantastic week.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond the Beard podcast. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at beyondthebeardpodcast@gmail.com. Our Instagram is Beyond the Beard Podcast, and our Twitter is @BeyondBeardCast. If you want to call us on the phone, give the Beard line a ring at 304-581-7431. Once again, thanks for listening to the Beyond the Beard podcast, the podcast, all things gaming.